If you've ever felt dismissed by doctors, told your symptoms are stress, or felt trapped in fatigue and uncertainty, this episode is for you. Lauren's story begins with vertigo, migraines, and exhaustion that spiraled into a diagnosis of Graves' disease. But more importantly, her journey shows what's possible when you stop fighting your body and start listening to it. In this conversation, you'll discover how to recognize the early cues of imbalance, how to blend medical and holistic tools without losing yourself in confusion, and how to build trust in your body, even after years of feeling let down. If you've been searching for answers, this episode will give you hope and a roadmap for what's next. Let's get into it. If you've ever felt dismissed, confused, or stuck in the space between symptoms and answers, you're not alone. This is What's My Body Telling Me, with me, Dr. Anthea Todd, the podcast where we believe your body isn't the problem, it's the solution. Together, we'll explore how to understand the messages your body sends through symptoms, how to support yourself through every stage of life, and why functional health, medicine, and energetics are all key to understanding and supporting your body. Here, we let feeling good become the baseline because life's too short to feel anything but alive. So, are you ready to start listening differently? Let's get into today's episode. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us on the What's My Body Telling Me podcast. I wanted to start by asking, why did you want to come on this podcast and share your story?
I think it's really, really important that I share my healing journey this year because there seems to be an epidemic of autoimmune disease diagnosis. I see it everywhere. A lot of people I've spoken to is coming up all the time. And I just want people to know, especially women, because the statistics show that over 80% of women are getting diagnosed with autoimmune disease. And I just want to empower people to know that there is another way. They don't have to be stuck with debilitating symptoms and chronic illness. The body is an incredibly powerful healing mechanism that, it can heal given the right environment and choosing yourself as well.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. If people are listening and they're not watching, I'm sitting here nodding along with everything that Lauren is saying. So if we start at the beginning,
yes.
What were the symptoms that you started to experience? What were the things that started to make you go, oh, something isn't right here?
It's actually started in October of last year. I went to bed.
Which was 2023.
In 2023, yeah. I went to bed feeling okay. I woke up in the middle of the night, turned over, and I had the sensation of the room spinning. I woke up that morning. Again, I was feeling really, really dizzy. I'd never experienced that sensation before. I'd never had any type of dizziness. And I went straight to the doctors, I went straight to see the GP, and he did a few tests. And he just said, I think it's to do with your inner ear. It's vertigo. It's to do with the crystals in your inner ear. They just kind of get dislodged. I'd had a kind of common cold a couple of weeks before that and quite a strenuous work trip. So I thought I would just run down. I had a cold. And he said that virus can be a trigger for vertigo. But it was completely new to me. So I kind of went away. He said, I'll give you these exercises to do where you kind of have to lay on one side and turn, and it makes you feel really nauseous. And I said, I just felt it was wrong to do that for me. And I like to use a lot of kind of alternative healing modalities. And I've used acupuncture in the past, which I will always vouch for. I think it's absolutely incredible. And I work with a Chinese doctor, and I went straight to him and started with acupuncture sessions and Chinese herbs. I was going about twice a week. I kind of went in hard from the beginning. I was also using some Rife frequencies, healing frequencies. And after like a month or so, it kind of started to subside and improve.
Were you feeling dizzy all day, or was it coming and going at different times?
It was when I would lay down in bed and when I would turn over in bed. Once I was kind of up on my feet, I was okay, but I couldn't kind of look to the side, look up, look down. it would just send me on an
Mm.
absolute spin. So it was kind of like I could have really navigated. I had to take time off. I couldn't go to work.
Mm.
You can't really do much because it just, even though you're not technically ill, it makes you feel absolutely terrible.
It's like that
Um,
feeling when you get off a roller
yeah,
coaster.
yeah, it's awful. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But
Yeah.
it's that started to subside. And then I was feeling much better. And then come Christmas last year, just after Christmas, I got another cold. And I thought, hold on a minute, this is quite, it's not like me to get sick that, that often. Something's
Mm.
really going on. And then it triggered it again and it was worse. And again, I went back to acupuncture, back to homeopathy, which again really, really helped it. But the Chinese doctor kept looking at me and he said, I think it's viral. It's something. It's a virus. But yeah, at that point, I didn't know. That was all I knew. I had the vertigo.
Mm.
And then it subsided. And this was kind of the end of January. Then I went away. I went to LA on a trip. And whilst I was there, my migraines came back. I get migraines every so often, but they came back, but really, really badly, to the point where like not even like a regular painkiller would take away the pain. They were really quite bad. And when I got back, I just thought I was jet lagged. I just felt fatigued. I thought, okay, it's a big time difference.
Mm.
Have a few nights of rest and then I'll start to feel better. But I didn't. I started to feel gradually more and more unwell as the days went on. Extreme fatigue, like I'd never experienced. Again, I couldn't go to work. I had to be, signed off. Itchy skin,
Mm.
anxiousness, which I thought was anxiety, but heart palpitations. Again, never experienced that before. Muscular pain. If I'd carry something even light, I'd wake up and feel like I'd done a full workout the day before, which I definitely hadn't done. Um,
Mm.
and I just had that feeling of generally feeling unwell, like your kind of worst hangover that you've experienced, just very, really, really, and it just wasn't like me. And I knew something was not right. I actually felt so unwell at one point. I took myself to the ER
Mm.
and saw a doctor. They did some checks, but no blood tests were taken. And he just said, "Oh, you've been traveling. It's probably COVID. So just take some paracetamol." And ride it out, and that's all I was sent away. And then
And
a week,
how long, if I can get the timeline right, how long
yeah,
after you had come back from LA
yeah.
had you been experiencing those symptoms? Like
It
where you were like,
was
oh, okay, this isn't just jet lag.
2 weeks or so
Okay. Yeah.
because I had booked a blood test, but I just felt so unwell I really couldn't do anything but just merely get up, have a shower, eat
Mm.
something, sit on the sofa. And
Yeah.
I just
Which
didn't
isn't
feel
jet
well
lag.
enough to get out there. Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
feel well enough to get out of the house and go and get the blood test. So eventually I
Mm.
got the blood test done. The doctor calls me and she's like, do you have heart palpitations and hand tremors? I said, yeah. She said, yes, your thyroxine is sky high.
Mm.
So it was 50.1. It's supposed to be between 11 and 20.
Mm.
Um,
So for people listening, that thyroxine
yes,
is a thyroid hormone,
thyroid hormone.
and your
Yes.
thyroid, it's a lot of people
Yeah.
can get confused about what the thyroid does. It's like, oh my gosh, it does
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different things. Simply put, I always imagine it like the conductor of an orchestra, and all of our organs are like the instruments of an orchestra. If the conductor is going really, really, really fast, like it has a lot of thyroxine
Yeah.
in your case,
Yeah.
everything can speed up and go fast. You can
Yes.
feel hot. You can have a fast heart rate.
Yes. Yeah.
Your bowels can move fast. You can feel itchy. You can
Yeah.
feel exhausted as well, because it's like, imagine a conductor moving really, really, really fast. Like they'd get
Yeah.
exhausted. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the same thing that what can happen, and sounds like what was happening with you based on your blood test, but it can also go the reverse as well,
Yes.
which is it can go really slow and the
Yeah.
instruments aren't working well together in the opposite way. So how else did you feel with that? Or how did you feel when the doctor was like, oh,
I
we
was,
actually can see that there's something going on?
yeah, I was really relieved because I didn't even think about my thyroid. I was thinking, oh, I think it's chronic fatigue syndrome. Maybe I've really burnt out I'd had a really busy work year, but a year before, I was like, maybe it's just a bit of a burnout, chronic fatigue syndrome. So to get and I was thinking to myself, surely these bloods have to show that something has to come up,
Mm.
otherwise I don't know what it would be. So I was really relieved that it actually showed something. So I was like, okay, I felt happy about it as well. I went
Mm.
in to see, and they were like, right, come in and see us today. So I went to see the GP, and he said, yes, obviously it's quite, overactive, but obviously we need to refer you on to the endocrinologist so we can get kind of a definitive answer as to why that it's, it's become overactive.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you're going to have to take medication. And I was very, very reluctant because I've
Mm.
always done alternative things, holistic, always, chosen that route over wanting to have medication. But actually, it was necessary. It really was necessary to take the medication because, if it's left untreated or undertreated, it can be really dangerous for your heart health. So
Mm.
I just kind of had to shift my mindset and be like, okay, just use it. It's a healing tool. It's not going to be forever. And I sat in his office and I said, well, I'm going to, I know that diet and lifestyle can help with this. And he was like, I'm not sure about that. There's other things we can do because it might then go underactive, or then we can do some radioactive iodine, and then you'll have to be on like the thyroxine for the rest of your life. And I just said to him, I said that day in his office, I said, no one's coming for my thyroid. And I knew that I was taking radical responsibility for my health, for my life. And I knew that I could get myself well. Like I just had this, self-belief and knowing that, okay, great, we're going to find out, when I see the endocrinologist, what it is, and then kind of go from there. But I actually, that week is when I started with my healing protocols. And then he was,
I love what
yeah,
you just said. They're like, no one's
yeah,
coming for my thyroid.
yeah,
I just have
no,
this like flash of like, I have a younger sister. I also have older sister and older and younger brothers
yeah.
as well. And it just makes me go like, no one's coming for them. Like stand behind me. Like it's like, nah, like there's no
Yeah.
way. Like I'm going to protect this at all
Yeah.
costs. And that like
Yeah.
as soon as you said it in that way, I'm like, oh yeah, like it is that radical responsibility being like,
Yeah.
okay, like no one's coming for you. I'm going to protect you in the best way that I know how. And it's amazing that you're like, okay, well, yes, this medication, I need this at the moment, but I
Yeah.
don't want to necessarily rely on it.
Exactly. And it's like, help yourself out, because it obviously just before I actually got my official diagnosis, it's like, well, help yourself out. It's going to help you feel better. It's going to kind of just calm the symptoms down. And then that, there's going to be a plan going forward. And, sometimes these things need the medical intervention. I don't want to say that, you can purely do it just on, dietary and lifestyle changes. But to work with the two together is important.
Yeah. Body break. Just for a moment, imagine this. What if your body was your biggest supporter, your closest friend, your most loyal cheerleader? What if it loved you fully and unconditionally, no matter what? Place a hand somewhere that feels steady and let your breath soften. Now ask, if your body could speak to you right now, what would it say? Maybe something like, I've been here all along and I'm proud of you. I'm not in your way. I'm on your side. Let those words settle and inhale and exhale. Your body is always looking out for you, and all you have to do is listen. When you saw the endocrinologist, what did they say?
Yeah, so he kind of got the whole picture for myself, and I hadn't at that point I'd had my thyroid function checked, but I hadn't had the the TRAB antibody test, which is what determines whether it is Graves' disease or not. And it was funny because by this point I was 6 weeks on my healing protocol, feeling incredible, like feeling day and night. I'd completely got my life back.
What was your healing protocol that you did for those 6 weeks? Thyroid healing. You've got a book. You're holding up a book here. Is that by the Medical Medium? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd started with this, and I'd actually bought the book a few years before. I'd had it in my possession because after I'd had COVID, a year later, I started getting issues with my throat and pain and rough voice. And so the doctor had sent me for an ultrasound, and they said, everything looks fine, but we can see you have a couple of nodules on your thyroid. It's pretty normal, nothing to worry about. And at the time, I'm like, well, it's not normal. They're there for a reason. I'd bought the book, started reading it, but because I'd kind of then started feeling better, I didn't start with the protocols. I kind of it was collecting dust. So I then kind of went back to it as soon as As soon as I was like, right, I'm going to go back, read that, and just start somewhere, cut out the things I need to cut out, and really just and start.
And in that book, for people that are listening that might have
Yes.
thyroid issues, that
Yeah.
Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune where it's too slow, and Graves is where it's an autoimmune and it's too fast. And we can also have too fast, too slow, but it's not autoimmune, meaning there's no antibodies that are present. So those are sort of the different ways your thyroid can be telling you something.
Yes.
In that book, it seems like a great resource. Is there tools for people in those different types of thyroid dysfunction?
Absolutely, yeah, because you've got here Hashimoto's, Graves, hypothyroidism, nodules. So it kind of, if it might just be a viral thyroiditis as well that can be resumed. But yeah, so it does have a lot of information in there. And then, he talks about the Epstein-Barr virus, of course, being a bit of an underlying viral issue that can be a precursor to these issues as well. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yes. So what were the specific things that you did that were recommended? So you said there were dietary things. What did you do?
Yeah. So I started by cutting out gluten, dairy, eggs, soy, refined sugar. I had completely removed alcohol and still have out of my life as soon as I got the vertigo. And the celery juicing. So he's another good for the big celery juice. So just celery juicing, the heavy metal detox smoothie I focused on. I focused on really clean, good supplements as well. So all the things to kind of boost the immune system and try and, get the virus, in kind of, at bay, basically, kind of just really attack the virus and get the immune system boosted again, because I feel like my immune system was definitely compromised. Focusing on gut healing. So I think with all autoimmune is, getting to the root cause of the emotional root cause. So gut healing, I focused on reducing my toxic load. So in terms of obviously what you're putting on your skin, new fragrances, your shampoos, your body creams, all of that stuff. I was pretty good with that anyway, but I just kind of I kind of went in with that as well, just cutting out so many things because all those things are so toxic and they're all endocrine disruptors. So when you've already got an issue with, one of your or your hormones, it's, you don't want to make that any worse with that. So yeah, really looking at those things, and then really taking a bit of an inventory of my life for the last kind of 5 years. I started to probe deeper and be really like, okay, so emotionally, what's really been going on in my life where this could have triggered the virus or put the nervous system into dysregulation, which really can be the root cause of these things. And I think like the language around autoimmune is really wrong, because you get told like, oh, sorry, the body's attacking itself, it's, and then, it's like that blame game of like, well, what's wrong with me? Why is my body faulty? And it's like, well, no, the body's constantly loves you and is trying to protect you, and this is why you're getting all these symptoms, because it's trying to communicate that something is really off balance and needs a little bit of help, and I'll share some of the things with you, because at the time you just think it's general, life can be stressful, things happen, it's the ebb and flow, it's like you have to learn to ride those waves. But kind of looking back, even from having COVID and how that could have affected the immune system, we still don't really know. I think we're still feeling the effects of that. And then kind of a year later, I went through a burnout with my job. I had a bit of a physical injury in my neck and shoulder. I was in a lot of chronic pain with it and just completely exhausted. And I had to be signed off work for a few months. And then I kind of was in a bit of a low frequency mood for a little while. So all of these things. And then I kind of came out of that. And then I was back to work, feeling really, really much better. And then I was traveling a lot for my job, which was absolutely fantastic. But with the travel comes, your different time zones, feeling jet lagged. You're eating different foods at different times. So your digestion's off, your sleep's off, you are eating out constantly. Even if you're trying to go for healthier options, you still never know what's really going into the food. You're getting taken out by work or by clients to these lovely restaurants. So you want to kind of indulge in this nice food and, wine with every meal. And it kind of, I was traveling kind of every month. So it was constant. So there was that. In between all this, I lost a dear friend very suddenly and very tragically. So then you have the grief part thrown in there. And I think that it's really just to touch on how grief, really does affect you emotionally and affect you at the body at a cellular level, especially if it's, not processed properly or People don't have the time, or maybe, when it first happens, it's painful to sit with it. Um, and that really does have, a big effect on the immune system. So there was that as well. And then, I think it was just, I think it was all these things. And when you look at it like that, it's like, oh, okay, there was some emotional things going on there. And then throat
Mm.
chakra, where are you not speaking your truth? Where are you feeling shut down, swallowing your anger? And, I think I've definitely had a tendency to not, find it hard to be my authentic self around certain people or in certain places. I'm getting better at that now, but it's, where do you feel shut down? Um, you have to think of all of these things have to be taken into consideration, so you get the full picture of, okay, what really has been going on in my life, and how is this affecting my health. And so when
Mm.
I looked at it like that, I'm like, okay, there's some things to address here. And this is how it's manifested itself. It might not, everyone's story is different. We're all individual. It may manifest, differently in some people. But and even having the Graves' disease, I know that a couple of people I've spoken to that I know that have it, their symptoms have been completely different to mine. So just to say that it can manifest itself in different ways. But I think to take responsibility for your health is really taking inventory in that way, and really looking at those factors which will
Mm.
all add up, and you can get some answers that way.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to put it. And that's sort of the sentiment that I talk about in the book. And this is what we talk about on the podcast.
Yeah.
What's my body telling me? It's the way that the Western um, medical system overall, whether it's actual, like you're going to your GP and going to medicine or specialist surgeries and those things, but also like I'm trained as a chiropractor, I work
Yeah.
within that
Mhm.
Western sort of medical system. Everyone does, where the GP is sort of the funnel, and they
Mm.
choose and they're sort of like making that decision,
Mm.
which can be really, really helpful. But when we are experiencing things that are chronic
Yeah.
and they aren't from something that is attacking us, or it's not that we're dying because we have poor hygiene and we're getting infections because the water is tainted, or we've
Yeah.
been in a car accident, or those things, it's like, okay, yes, amazing. We need this system. The way that it's set up is amazing for that. But
Yes.
when when we look at it in the opposite way, where we
Mhm.
go, oh, okay, my body is actually amazing, and how it feels is a reflection of the environment that I've put it in and the environment that I've given it internally to be able to deal with that. All it wants is balance, that homeostasis, as we call it. So exactly what you've said, it's really, they say hindsight's 2020, but
Mhm.
it's when we can look at our life from a non-judgmental way. And sometimes
Mm.
it's easier to do that when we imagine, okay, if what has happened with me had happened to my little sister or my
Mhm.
best friend or someone else in my life that I care about,
Yeah.
would it make sense that they feel how they feel and their body
Mm.
was doing what it was doing? Because sometimes we go, oh, well, it's not a big deal. Like I moved through that. It's all fine. Like, oh, but I
Yeah.
like these bits. We can sort of convince ourselves of our lifestyle. It's like, oh, but it's amazing. I like these things, and I love to travel, and I love to go out, and I love to do these things. But it's like, well, if you pair it with everything else and you just take a bird's eye view, exactly as you said, it's like, oh, well, actually, it sort of made sense that my body was quote unquote attacking itself, but it
Yeah.
was doing it in a way to try and help you.
Help you. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
and even that switch, even though it sucks and like you've like, I don't want to feel dizzy and exhausted and heart
Yeah.
palpitations and anxious and I
Yeah.
can't go and work and I'm in pain. Like no one wants to choose that.
No.
That's not what we're talking about. But when we go, I don't want it and this sucks and this is terrible, it's important to, yes, feel it. But when we stay stuck in that, we don't take a responsibility for it,
Exactly.
which is
Yes.
exactly what you've just said. It's like, okay, well, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's really helpful when we can detach and we can go, okay, if this was someone else in my life that I cared about, how would I say, maybe try and do these things? Maybe cut
Mhm.
out alcohol. Maybe
Mm.
we need to not travel as much for work, even though we like it, but we can tell that it's taxing on
Yeah.
our body. Maybe
Yeah.
try these different things. We
Mm.
actually sort of usually know the answer, but
Yeah.
our brain comes in and we try and reason and logic
Mm.
our way out of it,
Yeah.
which sounds like exactly what you did.
Yeah. And I think it's like not being in that victim mode. Because even when I because initially I thought, oh, I'm sure it can't be Graves' disease, only because, you know, they say it's kind of hereditary, or it's normally, because he was like, somebody in your family got it. I was like, no, not to my knowledge. I thought, oh, it's just those nodules, and it's probably just a thyroiditis, it's a viral thing, and it's probably just. So when he was like, oh no, you have got tested for antibodies, I kind of just went, I'm not even going to claim the title. I'm just, okay, now I know what it is, great, but I'm not going to be like, oh, poor me, it's Graves, oh God. Like, no, okay, well, I'm already working towards, I already feel within 6 weeks like I feel amazing. So let me just carry on what I'm doing. Initially, the treatment plan, he said like at least 18 months to 2 years, you'll have to be on the medication. Well, just over 6 months, I'm in full remission. Um,
Wow.
yeah, coming off the medication. So which
So,
was
so what's
actually
the
reduced every time, because they test your bloods, which is it's great. Every 6 to 8 weeks, you get your thyroid function checked, and it had leveled out after 6 weeks and has stayed well within range. The antibodies are now negative, and so every time the medication has just been reduced every time. So I knew that working with, obviously, the medical intervention, but the work that I'm not going to give the power to the medication and be like, oh, it did everything, because I'm like, the medication didn't regulate my nervous system, the medication didn't heal my gut, the medication didn't reduce my toxic load, so it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, knowing the work that
Yeah.
you put in. And
Yeah.
it can be daunting. Knowing, I think the great thing about social media is that there's now, because so many people are dealing with autoimmune, there's so much information out there and people talking about it. Uh, but also it can be really, really overwhelming. I think if you're just starting from scratch, or you don't really know where to start, there's all this stuff,
Mm.
and some conflicting views of what to do and what not to do. And so it can be quite, I know, confusing for people that are just kind of starting out.
Mm.
And yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would suggest to those people if they're like, oh my gosh, I'm just starting out and my Instagram and TikTok and all
Yeah.
my social media feeds are now full of all this
Yes.
information about autoimmune things, and I watch
Mm.
one and then I scroll to the next one below it and it says the complete opposite, or it
Yeah.
feels like what would you say to those people?
I would just say, like, small steps, like just start somewhere, like just, even just to read the book, like, and you don't even have to take it as Bible, because everything in there might not resonate, but even just to start with the healing protocols, get your juicer, get your celery juice going, get your heavy metal detox smoother. They're the things that I've mainly focused on. And then there's a really incredible list of foods that are recommended that are helping to support the thyroid as well. So it's really just fruits, veggies, clean whole foods and a whole foods diets as such. So it's not like it's super restricting. Yes, you have to, obviously, if you love your pastries, cakes, things like that, yes, you get rid of that, because initially it's really good to kind of cut the no-go foods out.
Mhm.
I've always tried to eat very healthy, so I didn't find it too difficult, to be honest. And I just knew that, okay, if I really want to heal and see a difference, then this is what I'm doing. For me, it was like non-negotiable. Like,
Mm.
once I started, that was it. I was
And
locked in.
I think in neurology, there's sort of three, you can think of it like it's called a triple brain network. So there's
Yeah.
three sort of main components to the brain. Obviously,
Mm.
there's a lot of different components to the brain and they're
Yeah.
always activating. But sometimes when we have so much awareness, so when we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Google, we're on ChatGPT, we're talking to our doctor, we're talking to our friend, we're trying to find chat rooms, we're trying to build our awareness. So we're getting all of this information, which is helpful. But when there's sort of that like, oh, I don't actually trust that I can make this better, or that this can get better. There's like this belief that like, oh, this is just going to be how it's going to be. That's where we can go into a state of overwhelm. And it can be like, okay, I'm getting all this information, but I still don't trust that anything that I do is actually going to make it better. But the thing that I can hear in what you're sharing is that
Yeah.
you had the trust in the body to be able to heal itself and to be able to change and adapt when you took responsibility and gave it a different environment to change and
So,
adapt to.
yeah. And
And
I think that's the key point, isn't it? It's like giving it just the environment it will do what
mm,
it wants to heal. But if we're
mm,
not giving it the right landscape, it can't.
mm,
And yeah, and I think just, yeah, like the self-belief. A lot of
yeah.
people, I think it's hard to want to take full responsibility, because You have to be disciplined. You have to put in the work. There's no two ways about it. And you have to be, day in, day out, cutting those things out completely, kind of
Mm,
sticking to the protocol. And it's that level of self-love and self-respect that I'm not going to put these poisons into my system, knowing that, it could keep me around or make me sicker. Yeah. And I just was like, I want my life back. I feel terrible. And,
mm.
I don't want to feel like
And
this.
I think
Yeah.
it's exactly when we have symptoms that we don't like,
Mm.
we can sometimes think that it is a way that our body is hating us. And we can look in the mirror. Like, say, for instance, if it's a symptom that you can see, like I
Mm.
struggled with cystic acne, and
Yeah.
in the depths of it, I'd look in the mirror and I would be like, this is disgusting. Like,
Mm.
there would be no love towards my body at all.
Yeah.
And we can feel like that if we're fatigued, we can't get off the couch, we can't go to work, we think we're hopeless. We can have all of these different things and we feel like our body hates us. But when we can flip it and we go, oh, wow, okay, my body is always on my side. I know that
Yeah.
because I'm alive. Like, there's so many different automatic reactions that are happening right now for it to keep me alive. And these
Mm-hmm.
symptoms are actually a way that it is loving me. It's
Yeah.
lovingly trying to tell me
Yeah.
what you're doing in
Mm-hmm.
your life, whatever the concoction of the environment that you've put it in isn't working. So that's exactly what sounds like you've done. And it's incredible to hear that in 6 months you're in
Yeah.
remission. Is that what your
Yeah.
endocrinologist has said?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Yeah. So the antibodies are
Wow.
now negative. Yeah. So, yeah. And I think like it was funny because I said to one of my friends back when was diagnosed, I was like, give me 6 months, like by my birthday. My birthday was October 26th. I was like, I'm going to be in remission by then. And, yeah, it was just past there where I had the blood test to say that.
What did
Most,
your
the most,
endocrinologist say?
I,
Were they
I
shocked?
haven't. So yeah, I saw the endocrinologist initially, and then my follow-up appointments are just phone appointments. So I'll just
Mhm,
go and get my bloods done. They'll get the results, and then I speak to I guess a thyroid nurse
mhm.
from the endocrinology team. Yeah, and they were like, "Oh yeah, wow, you're doing really, really well." Yeah, they were saying, yeah, and I think it's kind of like they, in terms of going forward from here with keep staying in remission, because obviously you're coming off medication and then kind of going on further, it's just like keeping it, for me, like keeping the integrity of the thyroid and the health of the thyroid going forward, because it's not like, okay, great, so I'm in remission, so I'm going to start eating gluten, drinking alcohol, and doing all the things again. It's like, no, I want to stay like this because and protect the thyroid and make sure to kind of keep it really, really healthy. But yeah, because I think, yeah, like I say, the initial treatment plan, I think that he said is, at least 18 months to 2 years.
I think a lot of us secretly carry this weight that we're meant to fix everything for our patients, especially when they're women and they're sitting in front of us exhausted, inflamed, hormonal, anxious, yet their tests come back normal. It's exhausting. I know because I was there. And the truth is, it's not you, it's the system. The system only sees sickness and ignores the space between. So I built something for practitioners who can't ignore it anymore. The Female Fundamentals Practitioner Training gives you a clear, practical framework that integrates medical, functional, and energetic health so you can stop spinning your wheels and start guiding women back to their bodies. You'll gain tools you can use in your consults immediately, plus the option to become a certified Female Fundamentals practitioner with paid client sessions through our network. Our live virtual intensive runs on November 15th and 16th with self-paced modules ready now. If you're ready to go from burnout to breakthrough and join the movement to make sure no woman ever feels lost again, enroll now with the link in our show notes, because her body isn't broken. She just needs someone who speaks its language.
So
So how is we can see that your thyroid has gotten better based on
yeah.
blood tests. How
Yes.
has your life changed in terms of how you feel and what you're doing in your life, how you show up?
Yeah. So yeah, I feel probably the best I've ever felt in my life in terms of just like the energy levels. like not the, just removing all the things, the toxins and like the alcohol and everything. I feel so much better. I've really just dedicated this year to my health and my healing. Obviously, I had to take a few months off of work, and I was able to have the time and space to be able, because, to do the kind of getting up, the soaking of, cleaning your vegetables, preparing, juicing, cooking from scratch, like having time to do all of that. And then, yeah, I've started, obviously, I couldn't exercise for a while because of the vertigo. All I could do was a little bit of walking. But so now I'm kind of back at the gym doing strength training, just kind of lower kind of, Pilates, yoga. I love walking. So I walk a lot, prioritizing my sleep. So all of these things are, help to make you feel at your kind of optimum, really. And yeah, and there's just no going back now. This is the way I live, and it's the way I'm going to continue to live.
Mm.
So yeah, it feels amazing.
It's like
Yeah.
you've created a new normal.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, definitely. Because once
And
you're into the habit of doing it, and you see the result, you feel the results. It's like, why would I go back? Why would I go back to anything else?
yeah,
Yeah,
and that you see it, you feel it. Your
yeah,
body is the thing that's going, "Oh,
yeah,
you're like almost like my compass, my check and measure of going, okay, this is my new normal, and my
yeah.
body likes this new normal." Not, "Oh,
Mm,
no, but it's normal to feel tired and fatigued and
yeah,
drained and have body aches and
yeah.
vertigo and, oh, yeah, other people have that, so it's normal." It's like, "Oh, no, this whole
No, yeah,
time." And now it's, oh my gosh, you get used to this feeling of like, "Oh, I feel
yeah.
amazing. Is this actually how I'm meant to feel all the time?"
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. So no,
that's
it's
incredible.
yeah, no, it's been it's been a really powerful journey actually. And it's just and then using complementary and alternative therapies have been a big part of it as well, that I would always kind of vouch for, that have been, yeah, been really, really good.
What have been the main ones for you?
So acupuncture
Mhm.
and Chinese herbs, homeopathy, sound healing, via frequencies, energy healing.
What's
uh,
rife frequencies?
Rife frequencies are there are certain hertz that you can Google them, you can find them on YouTube,
Mhm.
and some of them sound quite like alarm bells. There are different ones, but they basically get into they're for specific pathology. They're basically for anything that you have. There's
Mhm.
a rife frequency for. I'm not very good at explaining it, but there's
Yeah.
a specific frequency for every kind of ailment. Is what I'm trying
So
to
you
say.
listen to it?
We listen to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen
Yeah,
to it
it's
about
really,
15 years.
I think, it's fascinating. There's a lot
Yeah,
of, I think the new age medicine and where it's going is a lot to
yeah,
do with frequencies, whether it's light
yeah,
frequencies with photobiomodulation
yeah,
or there's sound frequencies, sound
yeah,
healing, rife frequencies,
yeah,
and understanding what cells vibrate at different frequencies, and we can sort
yes.
of change them depending on that. I think it's really, really fascinating
Mm-mm-mm.
to feel yourself and
Yeah,
experience, and then also go, wow, how
yes,
amazing, and what's going to change in the future with healthcare with these things coming in. I think
yeah,
that's amazing.
because they are, all of it intertwined yeah, is really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been a great help.
Is there anything that you would, having your experience, is there anything
Mm,
that you would like to change in the healthcare system? If you had a magic wand and you could
mm.
change anything, what would you want to change?
I think, you know, the medical system needs a bit of an overhaul, to say the least. But no, I think there needs to be more knowledge for people. That obviously, I've always kind of approached my health holistically, and known, that you can heal if you give your body the right environment. But when you're going to the doctor or your medical professional, and they're just kind of focusing just on, you know, pharma, and there's no real other information out there that they're giving you to be like, oh, actually, if you make these or try these lifestyle changes, that could really, really help
Mm,
alongside what we're, telling you to do as well.
mm.
I think yeah, and that's why you have to always dig deeper, and, only, yourself the best. And I think that's also an important part of this as well, is taking the time to really sit with yourself and tune into your body, so you know what is right for you and what is not right for you. So
How do
when things are
you,
bad.
that was going to be my final
Yeah.
question. How do you know what your body is telling you? Like, what does that mean to you?
Um, yeah, I think it's because life can be so busy and so hectic, and time to actually, like I say, sit with yourself, tune in, and really feel and get to know yourself from the inside from the inside out. So you know, yeah, what is normal, what is not normal. Um, because like you say, I think you can get used to that feeling of being in a disease state or out of balance state and think that's normal when it's not. So I think
Mm.
it's like, yeah, really, it all comes down to, again, the responsibility for your health is taking a few quiet moments, even if it's just 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes before you go to bed, doing some deep breathing, just tuning in, spending time and listening to those little things. Whenever you're feeling like pain or discomfort in the body is trying to tell you something and you have to listen. Otherwise,
Mm.
you know, the body will start screaming at you and you're just going to experience symptoms that, you know, are going to need addressing in the long run.
Lauren, thank you so much for coming on and
You're
sharing your
welcome.
story. I think it's an
Oh, okay.
amazing testament to what can happen when we take responsibility for our health and when we're not afraid to use a combination of a lot of different health and medical modalities, and
Yes.
always having that trust and belief that my body is amazing and it can heal. It always can heal, and I'm responsible for helping it do that. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing your
No, you're
story with us.
welcome. Yeah, thank you for having me.
If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to think of the woman in your life who might need this too. Maybe it's a friend who's been feeling exhausted, a sister searching for answers to chronic symptoms, or someone who just needs the reminder that feeling good in her body is her natural baseline. And if you haven't already, subscribing is the best way to spread this message and make sure you keep getting the answers and resources you need. Together, we're redefining how women connect with their bodies. And I'm so grateful to have you as part of this community. So, I invite you to get curious with me. If your body isn't the problem, it's the solution, what do you think your body's trying to tell you today? Please remember, this episode is for educational purposes only. Always consult a qualified health practitioner before making any medical decisions. Every body is different, and so is every healing journey.